if you guys aren't familiar, we currently live in a Twitch meta where a single group of creators is basically dictating what every single person plays on this platform. We saw it with Fall Guys, we saw it with Among Us, and now we're seeing it with Rust. Basically, this small group of creators, we talk about them as like offline TV, is basically telling the entirety of the streaming platform what to play next. This is completely unprecedented. We have almost never seen something like this before in the entirety of Twitch's existence. So I want to ask both of you, this is the binary question, by the way, is this type of meta where a very small group of people dictate the majority of what is popular, what we play on Twitch, is this healthy? Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm ready when you are, Coriander.
So somebody with that, call a coin flip.
I'll let you choose, Coriander. She said heads, but her mic wasn't working very well.
Heads.
Well, it was heads. So first or second?
Oh, brilliant.
Sure, I'll go first.
All right. Micah, 1 minute 30 going first. 1 minute 30, your time begins now.
I would like to argue that it's typically not good that a small group of people are deciding what's popular in most situations. And that's because I feel like it further institutes capitalism. And I think that having these bigger streamers, this like low percentile of higher streamers choosing the games that are most popular is going to keep a lot of people from exploring more niche games and games that they really love, and those games getting the attention that they also deserve. So I think it's much better when there's just a lot more variety and not everybody jumping on the same bandwagon. Although it can be good because it brings people together, I think it'd be better to bring people together based on a common interest. And I think we all have much more varied common interests than like this one game, but we don't necessarily find it because as streamers, somebody might particularly be thinking about view count and things along those lines. And then when I think about it in regards to like social media and say like, people with big followings promoting certain brands and things like that, when they're promoting these huge brands, it's, huge streamers and huge influencers promoting huge brands versus the smaller brands, which could be beneficial, but unfortunately that's not usually how they do it. And so that type of meta, I think, greatly impacts small businesses.
That is time. Coriander, 1 minute 30 over to you. The other side, your time begins now.
So I'm arguing that the case that one small group of streamers determining the popular game that on Twitch is actually not that bad. I think in the case of just like human tendency, I think we're kind of are followers. We will follow trends. We enjoy seeing kind of what's popular right now. And I think that's just a human trait. I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Of course, there's an issue with monopoly, and I think you mentioned capitalism at some point. There is an issue with that, but I think in the case of the games, what's popular on Twitch, I don't actually think that there's that big of an issue. If you have a small group of people who, like the popular people, who are determining what game is popular, people then use that to garner views by playing those same games. And in the case of like Fall Guys or Among Us, those games are pretty simple. They're not the hardest game in the world. And the thing with Among Us is it actually is a group of people and it brings people together. And every single time that you watch a stream, you're not always there for the gameplay. You're there for the streamer a lot of the time. Popular streamers, we're there for the personality. We all know that we love our streamers based off who they are, not necessarily what they're playing. A lot of the time you click on things because of what they're playing, because you're interested in the take that this individual has. So like if a small streamer starts playing Among Us because Among Us is what's really, really popular, they're trying to get views to get popular enough to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. And you can play and do what.
And that is time. Micah, 1 minute 30 back over to you. Your time begins now.
Unfortunately, we're not debating the individual take that each big streamer gives and their personality. We're arguing whether or not it's good that they are making a game together, collectively making a game very popular on Twitch. Now, I do agree that a lot of the games that have been popular this last year have brought a lot of people together, including my community as well. However, there are other games that could bring us together because there are plenty of games that are multiplayer games. However, we mostly only know about the ones that are very popular. I'd like to hypothetically imagine where, let's just say the top streamers, there's only 10 of them, okay, hypothetically, in this small study that we'll go through together. Let's say all of them are very popular, and they, instead of playing the same 3 games all year, all of them, they all play 10 different games. So we have each of them playing 2 different games throughout the year, but they're all really popular. So now there's a lot of other games that we're all very aware of, and a lot more categories for us to all build community with and grow with, instead of just these 3 channels. So it makes the competition a little less cutthroat, a little less fierce. So I think if we had more variety versus just like these top 3 games that are making all the money and garnering all the attention, we have so many more games doing that. And I think that would make things a lot better. So let's put that on a broader scale. Instead of 10 games, it's 100 games. And
that is time. Coriander, back over to you. 1 minute 30 on the clock. Your time begins now.
I mean, I think in this case, we're slightly overlooking the reason that these games are popular. The reason that these games are popular because the popular big streamers are the ones that are playing them. The reason for those big streamers being those big streamers are like individuals. You know, like I'm not going to compare why Pokemon is popular versus why Dr. Disrespect was popular, and I think he's banned. But the reason that those games are big is because those individuals were the ones that made them big. The people that are making those games big are because everybody watches those, and maybe not everybody watches them, but that's kind of the reason. Like, I think that the fact that it's not the games that are like at fault here. The reason that these people are the people who are making these games popular are because they have garnered these views, they have garnered this viewership and this community based off of all of their individual reasons for being big streamers. And I think in this case, yes, there's a monopoly, but this isn't a monopoly that is actually super detrimental to the environment of Twitch. You can still be a smaller streamer and you can still monetize your work, you can still get viewership. I don't think that there is anything wrong with the one group determining what game is popular, because it's not them just sitting and deciding, okay, we're going to make Among Us popular. It's them choosing to play this. Everybody watches them. So then people start to watch other people playing those games because they find these people enjoyable playing this game, because they find those people enjoyable. So then think, oh, this game is enjoyable, so I'm going to go watch other people.
And that is time. 1 minute back and forth between you two. Your time begins now.
I have a question for you, Coriander.
Yeah.
So I agree that it isn't detrimental to Twitch that that there's a select few video games being played by all the popular people, and that makes other people play it. I do think that it does negatively impact smaller indie games that aren't able to rise above. Do you think that it would be better if more games became popular than those small amount of games, if these big streamers who are bringing in people and making the popularity for these games brought in more games and more indie games versus just like the top 5 games of the year?
I mean, I think in this case, there is a matter of niche game and niche gamer play. I think that there's nothing wrong with a game being small. A game can still be enjoyable, but one of the reasons I think that a lot of these games have become big is because they're good for streamers. I think that the reason that Among Us became big now is because of the fact that, you know, in this whole environment, a lot of people, that's what they want to stream, is it creates this kind of community. I think when you have all these indie games and
that is time. 1 minute only, guys. 3 minutes, however, go to the question and answer. Judges, the floor is yours for the next 3 minutes. Ask your questions. This is where it counts. Your time begins now.
So, Mike, I have a question specifically for you. Would you not argue that by these big streamers playing a singular game and it becoming popular, it actually allows these communities to grow? Because if we were all picking our own games and we're all trying different games,
muted Micah.
And
Which
we're all
communities are you referring to?
Like I'm talking about like from the top down. So the popular 10 like pick the game and everyone else like starts to play that game.
Sure.
If these people didn't do that and it didn't spread to the like awareness of the game and cause people like our community, like the losers group, where it's just a bunch of like streamers streamers, but we're small streamers. Like that would never have happened.
I understand what you're saying, and you're not only asking a question, you're debating, and then also you're reiterating something that Coriander already spoke about.
I didn't hear her say that. That's why I was asking you about it. I was just curious. Like,
so she already spoke about it, and my response to that was that would it not be better if this small percentage of streamers that are the popular group, if they played more variety of games than just the top games?
But my argument,
so that way the more communities would be able to grow than just the communities that play those games. And correct me if I didn't answer your question, Pickstart.
No, my thing was about the variety. If there's a bunch of different games, then there's not going to be a lot of people that play one game together. There's going to be a lot of games that are be playing by a few people. So
you're specifically talking about multiplayer games?
Yeah, because I don't see single players creating communities.
Well,
single player games don't create
me
communities.
and Coriander play Cluedo together. I don't know very many people that play that. And I'm sure if a popular streamer started doing it, it would get really popular.
Listen,
and we also played Skriblio before it got popular. Now Skriblio is getting popular. So there's definitely a lot of games
that's
that exist.
A multiplayer
I know.
game, though.
That's what I'm saying. There's definitely a lot of games that are multiplayer that exist that are great for streamers and could build community, but aren't until they're popular. And those could be more popular now if there was more variety being played.
Then do you think that these streamers so pretty much the way that I see it is that these streamers are all friends, right? And then one of them just says, hey, let's play Monopoly today. And they all play Monopoly and it shoots it up to the chart, right? And
that would be great.
So do you think there's net positive impact of flow over to like a Monopoly community if these streamers decide to play that game? Because we're seeing that with Rust.
I think that would be fantastic if they played more games than just all the cool kids playing these 6 games that are really cool. What if they start creating communities in other places?
They do though.
But I'm talking about playing so many other games versus just the popular games, because the question was, Meta, will you repeat the question?
Well, the question was: Is the current Twitch meta of basically this single group of offline TV dictating what we all play, like to get noticed? Is that healthy or not?
The offline TV server for us is way like 1/10 of what the actual server is that the main streamers are playing.
Yeah, but
I also
it's not just about. I wasn't just referring to Rust. Like basically 2020 was dictated by this single group of people playing 4 or 5 different games.
Imagine trying to be seen on a certain category where there's only, say there's 5 popular games, you're playing one of these games. The way that it's divided is going to be huge. It's going to be hard to be seen. But if they're playing 30 different games and those 30...
But that is still time regardless. I went a little bit over because I had to interject.
We should keep talking about this later. This is great.
Well, good, because I need you guys to stay in the Zoom call once this is decided to talk about feedback, and then we can talk about whatever you guys want to after that. But...
I finished my drink.
We are now.
I want to debate everybody here after this.
This is it. Who won?
Let's go.
Earthly, I would love that. I would have so much fun debating.
Who won? Okay. Who won season 1? Was it Micah Lightning or was it Coriander Foliage? This decides who takes the crown for season 1. 9 weeks of games all have led up to this moment. You decide, chat. 3 minutes. Vote. Your vote matters. All of these votes have come down to a single or 2 or 3 votes. So do not feel like your vote does not matter here. Let's go through judging.
I got aggressive. I'm sorry, Corey.
Pickstart.
Oh my
Pickstart,
God.
you're ready to. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Notice.
So I just want to say I'm voting for Micah, but I'm only voting because literally in the last 5 seconds when she was talking about it allowing streamers to build because of there being more games, that I actually it clicked in my head. So it was literally that last 5 seconds of what she said that turned it, but I'm going to vote for Micah.
All right. Last minute sway. Micah with 1 vote. Who wants to go next? Who's ready to have their opinion here? Lusticar. You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, I know. I was mad that you muted me because I had to get out of my
I had to mute everybody. Too loud. All right.
I wasn't talking. Anyway, God, Coriander, you should have interjected. You should have stopped her from talking, because same thing Pickstart said. That very last second is what won me, where she said instead of 5 games, making it saturated, having 30 games and less saturation could give you more exposure and more discoverability, because Twitch already has shitty discoverability, and it's all about your personal networking. So opening up that floor is what Michael was trying to say. That same thing. Click.
All right, that's another vote for Micah. Who's next?
I'll go next. I'm voting Coriander. Yeah, that's it. I just think that point that those two are talking about just isn't how gaming works. As like people who play video games a lot, you don't jump from game to game. You don't jump through 30 games throughout the year. You guys don't do that. And on top of that, dude, having these big communities, going to smaller games at a time is giving those communities exposure as well. Like, and by the way, they're not playing the top 5 games like in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like look at the top 2 games on Twitch. It's like it's Rust. You know what I mean? Rust is an indie game. It's not Call of Duty. You know what I mean? It's not Fortnite, right? And then then when they decide to leave, they're going to go to a smaller game again. If it's an indie game that's based around playing with your friends, and then people who are already in that community are going to get some bleed effect over across. I mean, they're going to have some residual bleed effect. So it's just like I don't see it as a problem, but I think Coriander, when it comes from the argument standpoint, I think she argued it better.
All right, one for Coriander. Who's next? Oh God! All right, Bomb. Who did it better?
I only lose to the best, so Micah won because I wouldn't have lost if it wasn't from the champion. So
all
you should have
right.
voted me, Coriander. Honestly.
Yikes!
Analysis done.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Earthly. Who did it better?
I'm gonna have to lean a little bit more towards Coriander here because I feel like the fact that like streamers will like gravitate towards certain games isn't inherently bad, and I think a lot of benefit has come from the specific games because you have games like Among Us and like Rust where like you need to have a lot of extra people, and it kind of forces more network and therefore gets more people discovered under the current Twitch meta. I agree with a lot of Micah's points about ways that like Twitch meta could be better, but I don't feel like that's on like the streamers and the games that they choose to play. So I kind of ultimately lean more towards Coriander.
All right, and Perry. Who did it better?
Both absolutely lovely, amazing arguments. I mean, if this is the hardest possible dichotomy to choose between. Like
Me
for
and
real.
Coriander love arguing together. Like
I know,
we
like
love
literally,
it.
we're sitting. Like I think it was us final 2 during the round that you won. We were just like, no, you win, sweetie. No, you win.
I had been wanting to debate you this whole game. I didn't think I'd have a chance. So it's like just wonderful. Like this is winning to me.
Thank you guys for giving us this opportunity.
I appreciate it.
I just like talking.
With that said, I think that Coriander ultimately lost me when she said this wasn't an issue, because it is an issue, and that's why we're debating it. If it wasn't an issue, it wouldn't be a point of debate. And I just think that whereas it took a lot of other people to realize kind of Micah's points about the variety of games and all of that, I totally understood that from the get-go. And so Micah gets my vote.
All right. Well, Micah has taken chat vote with a scraping margin once again, so therefore Micah has majority vote and is the winner of the show.
Thank you,
Master Debater Season 1 champion, Micah Lightning.